May sound like a very stupid question, but what is bread? Basically, it's a paste of flour and water which is cooked over the heat or in an oven. According to the history, Egyptians were the first bread makers ever. This was around 8000 BC, and they were master brewers and they had special expertise when it comes to brewing beer. The brewing capabilities plus the warm climate gave them a natural advantage of being the masters of bread as they rightfully deserve to be. This resulted in the world's first sourdough thanks to the availability of wild yeast that they had. Not so many people know that Portuguese contributed to, apart from taking what they did from Goa during their colonial rule. Nobody gives them credit where they truly deserve the credit. Did you know that chilies came to India because of the Portuguese, which would change the Indian cuisine forever? Not just that, they also had made certain contributions apart from the famous vindaloo. Apart from the sweet-tasting wine and sausages, there is something else that Portuguese left behind. We know that traditionally Indians were not great bakers until the Muslims got here. Muslims had a special expertise of working with refined flour. Until then, traditionally Indians were consuming wheat, and that the only obvious choice was either using atta or wheat flour to make chapatis or rotis. But only after the Muslims got here, their expertise with refined flour made them traditionally one of the best baker communities that the world would ever see. Their expertise with refined flour is unimaginable. The Portuguese landed in parts of India, Cochin, Goa, etc., where people traditionally ate rice. Portuguese were not used to this kind of food habits. Sick and tired of people eating rice, the Portuguese wanted something of their own, something that they're accustomed to eating, and they were missing their bread, not just for eating, but for all the religious festivities like the Holy Communion, where bread was a must. They started pressuring the Goan chefs to make them bread. How could they? The Goans had no expertise of that sort ever before. They still went ahead and started giving it a try by using wheat flour, which was available anyway in India. But how would they get to ferment it? Because yeast was not so easy to come by back then. So what did they do? What they did was they resorted to toddy, which is a kind of fermented liquid from the palm sap, where they started adding that for the dough to ferment. That resulted in some sort of bread, which is very famously known today as pav. By the time British arrived in India, the traditional pav had already been wide established. The British got their famous white bread, which is not preferred by many people around. It was also looked at as sort of upscale thing to consume, which would be used to make sandwiches, etc. But pav remained the food of the streets that people consumed day in, day out. And it was simple to work with. You just slice it up and add a lot of ingredients, different sorts of ingredients, and make it mouth-watering. And in no time, the Bombay Goan community adapted to this, and this became a way of life. The Goan community used it as an alternative to rice. That's all fine, but how did this bread came to be known as pav? There are three different theories to this. In Portuguese, the word pav can mean bread. The second theory being, people who had to knead the dough to make bread used their feet to do so, and that's how, which is pão in Hindi, and maybe that is one of the reasons it's called as pav. The third reason, which is more believable to me, and I'm able to relate to that more, because pav means a quarter, which is 1/4 of anything. So it's a bun divided into 4 equal parts, and each piece becomes a pav. That could be one of the most believable theories if you ask me. So that's the journey of pav from the Portuguese to the India, which eventually traveled to Mumbai, and today pav is the life of the street food scene in India. My name is Casey. See you again with another interesting video. Until then, ciao.